Welcome to the Professional Hypnotherapist podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Stephen McGill, sharing his expert insights on the power of video and digital marketing. We'll dive into the best practices for leveraging different social media platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, and the importance of using video content to engage audiences. Stephen also introduces us to Opus.clip, a tool that efficiently reformats videos for various platforms, maximizing content reach. In this episode, you'll gain valuable tips on optimizing your Facebook ads campaigns, mastering SEO, and the critical role of posting quality content consistently. Stay tuned as you're in for a treat on today's edition of the Professional Hypnotherapist podcast. Welcome to the Professional Hypnotherapist podcast.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Stephen, I met you firstly in the Irish Hypnotherapy Conference in Dublin, and
Yes.
you were doing a presentation there. What was that, the guts of what you were actually doing in that presentation?
That presentation was geared towards a more focused approach to marketing, for hypnotherapists to take it more as a serious venture rather than just a byproduct of what they do.
So that's what we're going to talk about today, marketing for hypnotherapists.
Yes.
But before we get there, Stephen, maybe just tell us a little bit about you. Who is Stephen McGill?
Ooh, what a question. It all started roughly around 2007 when I decided to professionally then open a business in web design. So I opened a web design / photography studio with my wife and Tracy in Derry here, and we were getting a lot of good business. It was just maybe 2 months before the recession of 2007 hit. Getting a lot of good business. The recession hit, didn't really affect us at all because everybody needed to advertise still. So I was getting a lot of web design requests, but then people were coming back, not because they didn't like the website, but because they weren't getting the traffic to the website to convert. So then I ventured into the world then of marketing.
Yeah.
Fast forward to 2012. Then I got involved with Carl Anthony in the Irish Clinical Hypnotherapy Institute. Learned my craft in hypnotherapy with him, qualified as a hypnotherapist, and then started to focus on the marketing. My view was I didn't want to go down the route of opening a clinic to help one-to-one. I thought if I could help the hypnotherapists go out to many people, then I would be in some way responsible for helping more people than I could ever achieve in a clinic.
Mm. And, as hypnotherapists, the whole, idea, the whole purpose is to help people.
Yeah.
But again, as you said, if we don't know, if, it's to help people, but, if we don't know who our market is, or if we have to find our market, so how do we actually do that, Stephen?
Well, we're actually about to release a course on how to do those specific things, set up step-by-step marketing from an absolute beginner to intermediate. But one of the modules in the course is called working at your avatar, finding your avatar. That's what we call it in the industry of who exactly is it that you're looking to speak to. So you would make a decision yourself on what treatment you want to specialize in to attract, because each cohort looks different. So someone looking for relief from anxiety would look very different to someone that's looking to quit smoking. So decide, and you can have multiple cohorts, but if you decide on what that person look like, you focus on their demographic, which is their age, sex, location, and then also their psychographic is what makes them your customer, what do they value in life, what are their hobbies and their interests, and then reverse engineer that way.
Mm-hmm. And, so often nowadays we're told, oh, you have to be posting on social media at least 3 times a day. So how important is posting on social media?
It's essential. To quote someone that I learned from, a business without a sign is a sign of no business. So if you're not posting, people don't know you exist. the way the platforms now in 2024 work is that it's not necessarily about the followers that you have anymore, but it's the quality of the content that you're putting
Right.
out there. So if you're not putting out content, then nobody knows you exist. So it is one of the most important things that you can do.
Hmm. Now, marketing, it's a sort of a buzzword that people are, maybe familiar with. But let's get down to the nitty-gritty, and specifically for, let's say, Joe Soap or Mary, whatever hypnotherapist down the road who wants to get their message across. What do they need to do?
They need to work out what, like I said, what their specialty is, if
Yeah.
or even pick one of the main avenues, and then but also communicate across what problems do they solve.
Okay.
So a lot of people focus on the features of what they do and the
Yeah.
features or speak about themselves or what they've qualified in. The
Yeah.
public don't care.
No,
They
exactly.
just
Yeah.
care about, I have this problem. Who's the best person to solve this
Yeah.
problem for me in the most
Yeah.
efficient, cost-effective way?
Yeah. Exactly. And you really hit the nail on the head there because it's all about solving a problem. And
Yeah,
people aren't interested who you qualified with or
no,
they're very rarely interested
yeah,
about what exactly about hypnotherapy per se. They just want results, as I
yeah,
always say. Results, results, results.
yeah. Client testimonials, like again, I speak about this in my talk, but client testimonials are the social proof that helps people communicate across that I am the person to solve your problem. It's the reason why in this day and age we don't go on holiday, we don't buy anything without reading the reviews first
Yeah,
to
yeah,
avoid pain, um, the buyer's remorse, all these
yeah,
different terminologies in marketing that people want to avoid,
yeah.
pain aversion for making the wrong
Yeah.
choice.
Mhm. Now, in the world of therapy, um, it's by its very nature, it's very confidential. It's
Sure.
personal. And you mentioned there about testimonials.
Mhm.
So, I mean, is it legit that you would ask a client for a testimonial, or in other words, how do you overcome that without, infringing confidentiality, if you want to call it that?
Well, I think the best thing, once we, in air quotations, emerge the client, that's when they are at their most apt to ask them for the review at that stage. But
Right.
it all depends on the way you frame what you're asking. So a lot of people, they'll directly ask, can you leave us a review? That's fine. But if you reframe it in a way of, say, John, we've just had a great session, you've got a lot of relief.
Mm.
There's other people out there like you. Is there any
Right.
chance that you could put something on paper or go into my Google My Business and leave a review so I can help other people like you? As long as you give
Mhm.
people a reason why they should do it,
Yeah.
they're more susceptible then to doing it for you.
Okay. Okay. And there's an
So the
expression out there. I beg your pardon. Go ahead.
no, 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 go ahead.
There's an expression out there, to know, like, and trust.
Yes.
So how do we build that trust with prospective clients out there? What do you recommend?
Well, it's by showing up on a consistent, regular basis so people then know, like, and trust you from your content that you're putting out there, that you're not putting out on very confidential things, that they trust that you won't do that to them. It's showing up with a regular, consistent message that you're putting across to people, that you're not veering from your message or your brand's voice, so to speak. Um, it's those types of daily actions or weekly
Right.
actions or monthly actions that will gain you the trust in people. Also, a big one is to not sell to people, and then they'll
Yeah.
trust you more because nobody
Yeah.
likes to be sold to.
No, that's important. I like that. And it's, as we said earlier at the beginning, it's about problem solving.
Yeah. It's about problem
Yeah.
solving and over delivering on value. So much
Right.
so because information is not a commodity anymore. Any topic in the world, you can go online now and learn and be
Yeah.
proficient in.
Yeah.
So to not gatekeep any secrets of your industry because there aren't any. But if
Yeah.
you can over communicate the value in social media,
Yeah.
then that creates that trust of this person's not holding anything back.
So, can you give us an example of over communicating the value? What do you need? What does hypnotherapist or a therapist out there need to do?
So just off the top of my head, say you were doing a TikTok video and you showed someone you were talking about anxiety, say, and you demonstrated the box breathing, or you demonstrated how to ground yourself, or
Yeah.
different things that you would have normally historically kept until the session if you show them, because majority of people watching your video will appreciate it, but they won't actually follow through and do the
Yeah.
thing as well. So a
Yeah.
lot of a lot of businesses don't like putting their secrets out there, but they don't realize most people don't actually follow through
Yeah, I
on the
think that's
advice.
really important. Yeah,
Yeah,
because I would have experienced where you know it's important that you communicate and you over deliver with the information because, as you say, there's no secrets out there.
no,
And I mean, without repeating what you said, well, I have
yeah,
to repeat it, I suppose, is that you know, you just over deliver, you communicate what you have, and you give away your secrets because, as you said, people don't follow through. They need that personal touch. Would you
yeah.
agree?
They need the personal touch, but also what I find helps massively is the accountability with them as
Right.
well. So
Okay.
I can tell you 13 things that you need to do with your Google My Business. Now
Yeah.
that's enough information for you to create a €100,000 business a year. But will you implement them? Probably not as serious as you need to. But if we have a call every week or every fortnight and I check up on what you've done, that adds in the factor then of accountability. Well, you'll make sure you get it done for that next call.
Okay. Okay. So you talked about 13 secrets.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you give us a few of those?
Yeah. For example, making sure your profile on Google My Business specifically is completely filled out. A lot of people ignore certain parts of it, but if it's completely filled out, Google likes that. Google as a platform likes that. Another one would be to post quite regularly. A lot of people don't realize it is an actual platform where you can post your updates and your offers and your information on there.
On
Like,
Google.
yes, sir.
Really? And did they allow you
Hmm.
to post
Oh, yeah.
videos?
Yes. Or they
Right.
allow you to post written videos, images, and then links out to other, say you've written a blog, they'll allow you to
Mhm.
link out to that, or
Yeah. Yeah.
a podcast link. So
Yeah.
the more it's basically you're putting out more information because on Google you're competing with people in your area and in your niche. So to rise above them would be
Mhm.
to have extra reviews, to have extra updates so that Google sees you're not a stagnant business that created your profile 2 years ago and haven't done anything about it. Are you
Right.
still open? Are you closed? It doesn't know.
Yes. Yeah. 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 It's important. All right. And nowadays, I mean, I'm hearing and reading and listening and watching about some people out there say, well, websites are becoming less important. What's your take on that?
Absolutely not.
No.
Websites are important for so many different reasons, maybe too many to list, but just say, for example, with the rise of AI, where does AI get the information from? It obviously can
Yeah.
scrape it from websites. So if you don't have any presence on the web, how does it know to scrape information or impactful quotes or things that you've said or techniques or advice that you've said?
Yeah.
So it can't ever quote you. It's just one way, but it's still in this day and age in 2024 we're still, as users of the internet, we're still used to getting the credibility from people's websites and the information from people's websites.
Mhm. Mhm.
82% of web traffic onto your website comes from mobile devices. So maybe that would be an important thing to make sure your website is responsive to mobiles and tablets,
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
There is some clients that we look after, they have thousands of hits per day on their website. So they're definitely not dying. The
Mm.
culture isn't there. It hasn't swapped over to any other medium yet.
Mm. Two questions. SEO and in your opinion, what is the most important social media site to be on?
So I'll answer the SEO question first. Just remind me
Yeah.
of the second one whenever I come to it. But SEO is super important in terms of Google's the largest search engine in the world. And SEO stands for search engine optimization. So you're optimizing your website to go on the biggest search engine in the world that everyone uses.
Mm.
So to ignore some aspects of SEO would be criminal, and you just have to accept your fate with it if you don't. You can combat it with adding in blogs, informational, valuable blogs that because Google has a framework that they've released called EEAT, which is educate, experience, authority, trust. Basically, that's the acronym. So if you're not providing value that, or if you're not providing information that is educational, authoritative, and trustworthy, Google
Mm.
don't necessarily think that your site's valuable enough to rank above one of your competitors because
Mm.
they're definitely addressing these things
Right.
in their content, which makes sure it's looking at your website as a customer, not as a business owner. So how is the experience of it? Do they have to scroll? 72% of people don't scroll when they go onto a website. So it's making sure you have everything above the fold, as it's called. So all the information, your call to action, your email address, your telephone number, um, what benefits, what solution can you provide, all has to be above
Mm.
the fold
Mm.
to hit that 72% that aren't even going to scroll to see your fancy
Mm.
about me section.
Right. Right.
What plat Sorry, were you going to ask me a question?
No, no, go ahead. Go
Yeah.
ahead. Go
To
ahead.
answer your second, which
Mm.
platform, you have to reverse engineer. Each individual has to reverse engineer what they are most comfortable with in terms of what form of media are they most comfortable delivering. Are they a writer? Are they a speaker? Are they a video person? Are they better personality on screen? And then that determines what platform to be on. You have to go where the attention is. So if you're more susceptible to writing long form copy, LinkedIn would be the place for you.
Right.
If it's shorter form with images, Facebook. If you're amazing on video, TikTok is definitely the place to be at the minute.
Right.
So
Right.
there's really no right answer. It's try all of them, see which one you're most comfortable with, and then
Mm.
stay there wherever your audience is.
Yeah. And the importance of video. Would you speak to that?
It's the most important thing at the minute. And that's not to overwhelm people who don't like being on camera. You can do faceless videos, so not to worry about that. But video, if we think ourselves how we consume social media content or any content, it's mostly through audio now because audio allows us to do multitasking things. Whereas before, if we were to put out a long form content, you have to be completely engaged in that one activity of reading. But if you're
Yeah.
listening to podcasts or if you're listening to or watching a YouTube video in the car where you're listening to the audio where you don't need to watch, then you can do other things like drive or cook or clean or whatever it is.
Mm. Mm.
Video with captions, it's because it's there's been a term coined recently, the TikTokification of all platforms, where all platforms are now moving towards video because
Yeah.
the visual and auditory cues that people are taking from is the most dopamine receptive things that they can get from.
Mm.
People are
Mm.
it attaches to two different learning styles of auditory and visual rather than
Right.
just one.
Right. And the importance when we're talking about video, the importance or the significance of having 16 by 9 videos, which is your smartphone, and then you have the broader ones for YouTube. So what's your take on that? What format should we post our videos in?
Again, it reverse engineers to what platform you're looking to go on. But what we do as an agency is we will record it first on landscape
Right.
and then plug it into, there's a website called opus.clip. So
Right.
that'll take your video and then reformat it into different formats. So
Uh-huh.
you can post it on YouTube Shorts or TikTok or Instagram Reels or Facebook Reels, but you still
Uh-huh.
have the original one to post on YouTube itself as a longer form video. So out of
Yeah.
that one video, you can get 17 pieces of content. So posting
Right.
3 times a day becomes easier.
Yeah. And that opus.clip, is that a paid website?
It has both. It has a free version and the paid version.
Hmm. Oh,
But just maybe as something to think about, if you create maybe a podcast like this where we're talking for
yeah.
30 minutes.
Hmm.
So number one, we have a YouTube video we can take from it. We can take the audio for Spotify. We can transcribe it and put it on long form and LinkedIn. We can then take a snapshot of it and put it on Pinterest with the link out to our website. We can then break it down into YouTube Shorts. We can put it on TikTok video. We can put little snippets on Facebook. We can put it on the Reels. We can put it on Instagram. Um, and then
Right.
we can put it on Snapchat. So there's 10 pieces of content from our 30-minute conversation.
Yeah. And that's all done on that website you gave me.
Yeah.
The what is it? Opus.clip.
Opus.clip. You can transcribe it. Once you put it on YouTube, there's extra plugins called GLASP, GLASP. If you put it into your browser, it'll transcribe it all for you.
Uh, that's
G
interesting.
GLASP. It's
Yeah.
automatic.
Right. Now, earlier that thanks for that. That's really
No
valuable
problem.
information. Earlier we spoke about, the importance of being on Google and
Mhm.
Google's your business profile being filled out there. And I come back to that, and I mentioned websites.
Yeah.
So, does Google, does it take most of its information, in your opinion, does it take most of its information from the Google presence, the business profile, from that, or does it actually take it from your website? Which is more important, in other words?
So nobody really knows the main algorithm that Google uses, but the signals that it's putting out is it'll put it into what's called a domain authority or domain ranking. So
Yeah.
that determines how many other websites backlink to your article. So if you write a blog and you put it on Facebook, you put it on LinkedIn, you put it on a different forum, a different community page, and they all backlink, the more backlinks that you have, then the more authoritative your domain is. So it'll take the information from that, but it'll also pull in from other search engines. It'll also pull in information from Facebook, from YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. So if you have videos on YouTube, it'll pull in that information. You'll get video answers on the top of the SERPs, which is search engine results page, which is the
Right.
first thing that you see whenever you search. So it pulls it in any reference. It'll pull in from all the different places that you're present
Mm,
online, not just
right.
websites, but your social platforms as well.
Right. And it's really important to know all this stuff. What's the one thing, the one essential thing, or maybe one or two essential things that a hypnotherapist must do nowadays in terms of marketing?
Understand that everything that we've talked about on this call and everything we talk about in general in marketing is free. This is the best time to be alive as a business owner because everything is free. And the worst thing that can happen if you put up a bad post is that no one sees it. So a lot of hypnotherapists have this imposter syndrome or
Yeah,
this idea that they don't know what to post or they're not confident on.
yeah,
If a hypnotherapist isn't confident on a video, they could reach out to one of their peers and maybe get a
yeah,
session on confidence.
yes, yeah,
You know,
excellent.
we have the
Yeah,
tools to overcome any obstacles
yeah.
in our
In other words,
way.
there's really no excuse, is there?
No, no, definitely not. The only excuse, the amount of large language models or AI that's out there now that you
Yeah,
can input your profile and your ID and get unlimited numbers of brainstorming ideas back for types of content is
mm,
just crazy at the minute.
mhm, mhm. And I'm going to ask you this question, because it's a bugbear of mine.
Go for it.
Um, Newspaper advertising.
Hmm.
Tell me what's your take on that?
So the way that I look at any sort of marketing is where is the attention at? And in 2024 in June, it's not on newspapers versus the scale that it is online.
Yeah,
That's, and it's not a criticism of newspapers. If newspapers started to get more attention tomorrow, I would be the first one on there.
yeah,
But the
yeah,
attention is not there. But the prices are still 1990 prices,
yeah,
which doesn't, if you took, say, €300 for a quarter page ad, for
yeah.
example, in a newspaper,
Yes.
and put the same €300 into a Facebook ad that's crafted
Mm,
properly, and then
yeah,
compare the results, there wouldn't be a conversation needed anymore.
absolutely. And of course, the same goes for magazine advertising as well.
Correct. Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
not saying
yeah,
these things aren't
yeah,
necessarily a good thing or bad thing, but if you compare them against other things that work,
yeah.
the return on investment's not the same.
No.
I've done ads for therapists for quit smoking, and they've had to contact me to tell me to stop because there's too many leads. Yet there's three other people recently that did an ad in their local newspaper and didn't get anything.
Yeah.
The main thing that I like about the newspapers versus paid advertising, if I put 300 into a newspaper ad and no one rings me, I'm
Yeah.
down 300. But
Absolutely.
if I put an ad on Facebook and put 300 into it and no one clicks on it, I get my 300 back.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's page per click.
Right.
So you're getting immediate feedback that you need to change something in your ad to convey more value and more trust and more authoritativeness and more call to action, or change your word and change your image, change your graphic. You can't do that in the world of newspaper or magazine advertising. Once it's out in the ether, it's out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. And the age-old saying of the WIIFM, what's in it for me?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
um, how do we communicate that what's in it for me, that value? Just give us one or two points on that if you can, please.
Well, by being direct in your message to what's in it for them
Yeah.
and communicate across, like we're all therapists in our own way. We have all learnt maybe NLP techniques or different
Yeah.
language. So to put that, to then use those techniques into our copy, which is we call copy the written or communicative way across. But like say, for example, if we put an ad, if we're doing an ad for quit smoking, for example, and
Yeah.
we're thinking about NLP, like I would literally put it in the copy, close your eyes and imagine how good it would feel to be a non-smoker. Now we're using our language that we've already learned into our
Yes.
copy, and we're
Right.
being persuasive in that language. Just be direct with them. So what's in
Yeah.
it for you? As soon as you quit smoking, you'll feel great,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you'll call yourself a non-smoker.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's the what's in it for me is so important. That's the crux of everything. Anything before you post anything, you should always ask yourself what's in it for them. What are
Yeah.
they? Are you posting for the sake of posting? Don't do that. Make sure you're posting for answering the question, what's in it for them? Are they going to feel good? Are they going to be more relaxed? Are they going to be more productive? Are they going to be more X? Fill in the blank.
Yeah. They're really, really important points. And unfortunately, the nature of where we are at today in terms of the technology, it's all about social media. And unfortunately, it's not about newspapers because, through the years, I've done a lot of what I would call, and you learn the hard way, business card ads that do
Yeah.
nothing.
No. And I think part of the problem that we need to address that people might not like is they think if they do an ad in the newspaper, it takes it off their conscience that they've done something towards marketing their business. I've seen that regularly. And then it gives them, if there's no reply on it, then it's confirmation bias to themselves that marketing doesn't work,
Right. Okay.
or
Okay.
that type of marketing doesn't work. So I would hear the phrase like I would get all my referrals. I'll get all my business through referrals. But
Yeah.
and don't ignore the fact that social media is referrals on steroids.
Yes. And it's also, we briefly touched on it earlier about, the locality, where you're located. But nowadays, it's not about where you're located because social media has a far-reaching outreach,
Yeah. Yeah,
you know?
it's everyone's accustomed since the pandemic to doing everything online as much as they
Yeah.
can. There are
Yeah.
still a lot of people that, aren't of that mindset and they do prefer someone local to them that they can see face to face.
Yeah.
But there's nothing to stop you doing an online course that people can take in their own time or doing online sessions in anywhere around the world.
Mm.
It's just
Mm.
an easier barrier to entry. That's why I say it's the greatest time to be alive for a business owner.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. About social media and all that. Yeah. Absolutely. Now, you actually specialize, as we know, you have a company called Thera Marketing.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
Telemarketing was born out of, I suppose, the seeing the necessity for everything that I taught in the classroom. I used to go down once a month to train newly qualified hypnotherapists in person. But again, going back to treating more or helping more people at a wider scale, I moved it online then. So myself and my business partner started up Theramarketing, directly aimed towards therapists of all caliber. I'm trained in CBT, NLP, um, timeline therapy, hypnotherapy, all the different modalities. I actually qualified in them as well, so
Yeah.
I could speak to what the challenges that have been presented to me in each of them. So we've created an online platform of a course, or we can do paid advertising. There's organic or paid advertising. Organic is anything that doesn't have money behind it. And then paid advertising is obviously, like it suggests, you put money into an ad, if Google pay per click, or Facebook ads, or TikTok ads, or anything like that.
Mm.
So we have a 16-week course dropping soon.
Right.
Um, so it's to take people from absolute beginners to being au fait about what everything revolving around marketing is. Not so they can do it themselves, but also if they choose not to, they can be
Okay.
accountable. They can hold other people accountable and know what they're
Yeah.
talking about and not
Yeah.
get a bad experience with other people doing the marketing for them.
What's your advice to anyone out there, a therapist who is considering doing, paid advertising, whether it be, well, and the second question is, should they do it, which platform should they do it on in terms of getting a return on the investment?
I would firstly either contact myself or my business partner or the page to get advice on it and to consume some of our free content that's out there already. Or it doesn't have to be ours, it can be any sort of instructional things on how to set up a proper campaign. Because a lot of people will come to us and say, I hit the blue bus button, I put in 20 euros and I got nothing.
Hmm.
So there's a lot wrong with that statement. Basically, the blue
Right.
bus button is one way out of 12 different ways to
Where
advertise.
is that, Stephen? Where
Sorry,
Oblivious
on Facebook,
on Facebook?
the blue
Okay.
boost button. So whenever you post
Okay.
something, it'll give you the option to boost it. So
Oh, yes.
that's the quick and easy and the less productive way of advertising. There's a proper way to do it. There's a proper way to set up your campaign manager and business manager. There's hundreds of free videos out there on how to.
Yeah.
Um, so if you go into Google or YouTube, you can learn how to set yourself up or speak to people like us and we'll help you for free how to set this stuff up.
Right.
But if you think then once the thing about Facebook is once you're advertising, this is where I would suggest to go first. If you're advertising on Facebook, as long as you have your organic posts on your timeline done first, and that means just posting regularly before you're advertising. Because if you don't do that, you're sending people to a blank page where they can't see
Yeah.
anything about you. They don't like, know, or trust you because there's nothing there.
Yeah.
So also the organic posts then lower the costs of your ad,
Right. That's
which a lot of
interesting.
people, yeah. So if you're paying, normally say €2.50 for a lead, if you have a lot of good organic engaging content, then it could be €1.70 per lead. So then
Right.
your money goes further for that.
Okay. Okay.
Um, but if there's step by step, it's a big process to explain through in this. But if you're maybe putting on your target audience that you've already worked out from your avatar of who the demographic and the psychographic is, if you put those interests into a Facebook ad, that narrows down. And we're looking to narrow down the audience as much as we can, which is sort of the opposite of traditional marketing, where we want to speak to as many people as we can. Now we don't. Now we want to speak to
Focusing.
focus
Yeah.
in as
Yeah.
little as we can, as
Yeah.
targeted as we can. And
Yes.
then that
Yes.
makes the money go further as well. So if
Mhm.
we build our audience down and say it gets to 1.2 million people in that audience, that 20 euro is not going to go very far. So it's maybe consider your budget or consider lowering your audience size, for example.
What is a
It,
good start at budget? I beg your pardon, sorry.
okay, it's a piece of string. It depends on your budget.
Yeah.
It depends on how long you want the campaign to run for. Do you want it to run evergreen in the background? I would put maybe €2 a day on an evergreen. So you're always, and if
Okay.
someone searches anxiety relief on Google and then jump over to their Facebook, then they'll see your ad.
Mm.
So if you put €1 or €2 a day, but if you're doing a bigger campaign, maybe €200 a week or whatever it is, whatever your budget allows, but
Mm.
just be aware that your budget depends on your ROI. Basically, if you're, and it goes into your audience as well. So if you're only putting €200 in, you have to then be realistic that you may only get 4 or 5 leads out of that
Right. Right.
versus a bigger budget will get better leads.
Okay.
But it all depends on what stage in your journey you're at.
Absolutely. Yeah. And all excellent, excellent advice, Stephen. Really good. And I know that our viewers and listeners are going to get tremendous benefit out of this. I'm going to sort of back cycle a little bit and just briefly, SEO again. Is
Mhm.
SEO for professional, web people, or can, Joseph therapist do it?
Again, like we said, all the information's out there. There's not really much information that is specialized anymore that you have to, like, you can only access through paying for it.
Okay.
So anybody can learn SEO, but again, it's the same thing. Anybody can learn engineering or mechanics, but
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
you have that time to invest into it, or are you going to pay a mechanic to do it that's spent 18 years perfecting the craft? That'll
Right.
avoid the pitfalls
Yeah.
of you learning as you go.
Great
But
answer.
well, it's the only way I can think
Yeah.
of saying it. It depends on what resources you have available. It depends what time and capability you have to absorb the information
Mm, mm,
and understand it. It
yeah.
is relatively easy. It's just time
Time
intensive.
consuming. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you for that. That's really excellent. And
Sure.
again, as I said, the viewers and listeners are going to get tremendous benefit from this. Um, you have a program that you're working alongside with Carl Smith, isn't that correct?
Yeah,
Is
well,
that
it's the 16-week course as well
okay?
that we're talking
Yeah.
about. So it's basically there is, like I said, the reason why we started it is everyone who qualifies learns the craft of hypnotherapy or hypnosis to perfection in any school that they go to, for example. But then
Right.
that doesn't necessarily translate into running a business properly and running a social media based business properly as well. So it's to fill in that gap of now that you're qualified, what do you do
Yeah.
next? How do you get your
Yeah.
business off the ground? How do you get
Yeah.
online? What do you say? When do you say it? How often do you say it? To whom do you
Yeah.
say it?
Mm.
So we've been working with Carl Smith, Carl Anthony, Stephen Travers, a couple of other the main trainers that we have in UK and Ireland. Um, just to sort of bolster everybody that's qualified to helping more people. That's where I get my most satisfaction from.
Right. Right. Okay. And where do we get information on that?
If you
I'll
can visit our
post the
website,
links later. Sorry, go
sure.
ahead.
If you visit our website, theramarketing.co.uk, so it's
Yeah.
theramarketing.co.uk, all one word,
Okay.
/course for the course we have dropping, or you can just visit the main page as well
Right. Right.
and get more information on the course. It's a 16-week program is an option, or you can contact us privately for any advice or help that you need. We do offer free audits on your website or on your social media platforms. So we will go in, look at all your types of posts, how often you're posting,
Yeah.
where you're posting, what your message is, and give you free feedback on actionable steps then on how to improve that.
Mm. So, Stephen, is this now? Is this forgive me? Is this hypnotherapy training plus marketing, or is it just marketing?
Just marketing.
Just marketing. Oh, that's important. Know that.
Yeah.
And if there was one final thing that you'd want to say to our viewers and listeners out there, uh, what what advice would you give them finally, please?
It's a big one to do with marketing.
Yeah.
To do with marketing, realize that, again, I've said it twice already, this is the best time in the world to be a business person, to
Okay.
help people, to realize the fact that everything that you do online and social media is free unless you're putting money behind it. But you can do 80% of it for free and get immediate feedback, immediate testing. If you're putting videos on TikTok and getting 200 views, that's a clear definition, a clear signal that you need to improve your quality or you need to improve something in that video. It's all feedback. It's not failure. It's all feedback that you're putting out there.
Yeah.
Did compare your analytics. It's the information is so vast. There's free information everywhere on how to be a better marketer. I believe everybody out there is a marketer first,
Yeah.
then they're a therapist. because if you're
Yeah.
not marketing, you can't be a therapist.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a
So you
very
need to,
good, important point.
yeah,
You
you
know,
need to view everything. Sorry to interrupt you. You need to view
no,
everything that you're doing on a day-to-day basis of I'm a marketer first or a media company first.
exactly. Yeah.
Then I help people.
Mm. Yeah, not the other way around. Prior to this, we would have thought, oh yeah, I'm a therapist first, and but you have to be in a position to be able to market yourself and you
Yeah.
know sell the sizzle, as it how they call it.
Well, that's it. Yeah, yeah. Sell the sizzle,
So,
not the steak. Well,
yeah,
if you think in the reverse, who are you actually going to help unless you tell people? So you have to
mm,
tell people first of what problems you
yeah,
could solve,
yeah, yeah. A question
and then you
that
be able to
comes
help
to my
them.
mind, nowadays, because
Sure.
nowadays people would have, on their websites or on their media, social media, a link to book what we might call a strategy call. What's your take on
Yes.
that vis-a-vis posting your phone number online?
Again, these are all just micro tactics and different
Yeah,
things. So they will ebb and flow in their popularity. Links on social media, if you actually look at the Facebook algorithm, they demote posts that have links on them. So it is per platform. Some platforms like links, some platforms don't.
yeah,
Some like hashtags, some don't.
mm, yeah,
But the main thing you have to remember, if you're putting your phone number out there, it's not clickable. So
yeah,
and to memorize a phone number or to write it down, that's an extra step you're getting them to take. So a lot of platforms will allow you a link in bio, that sort of thing. But it's a waste of space if you're saying, check the link in the bio, because we're already attuned and we already know to go to the link in the bio to it. A lot
right,
of it, whenever you're say we pick Facebook, if
yeah,
you're say for example, John Hypnotherapy Clinic, visit us now for quit smoking and finally become smoke free. Call us now on 086. Da, da, da. That's pure sales. Go back to the question of what value am I communicating across to these
mm,
people? There's no value in that. It's a sales pitch. And no
yeah,
one goes on, everyone forgets the first word of the platform. It's social media.
yeah,
It's not
mm,
sales media. You need
right,
to have conversations, talk to people, give your advice, be sociable, give information. The links and phone numbers and hashtags on the wrong platform, they'll be demoted and you'll go out to less people. So you're giving yourself a less chance. So it's respecting the platforms. Cross posting is another big no-no. So say, for example, what I mean by cross posting is say I have that post about quit smoking. If I post the exact same post in all the different platforms, then I'm not respecting the platforms of what they're there for. So people don't go onto Pinterest for certain reasons. If you think of these things as shopping centers, so people go onto Facebook to catch up with friends and family. They go onto Instagram for inspiration and motivation. They go onto Pinterest for ideas and inspiration. They go onto TikTok to be entertained. So people go onto different platforms for different purposes. So if they're seeing the same message crafted across all the different things, then they become blind to it and they'll just switch off because they're
right.
seeing the same nonsense on every. You have to respect the platform and what works on there and what doesn't.
So therefore you change your posting.
You can change the copy or you can change the image, but it's something that you have to put maybe 10 hours into the platform to learn without posting, but learn how people use it properly, learn the nuances of it, learn the little
Right.
micro things
Yeah.
and do research on it. And that 10 hours, then it will be your return on investment will be you'll get a lot more leads and help a lot more people in your clinic just by spending
Excellent.
that time to refine your message in there.
Wonderful. I mean, that what we've done here today, Stephen. Thank you so much for your valuable time and giving us such
Very
valuable
welcome.
information and content, beneficial content, as they say.
Hopefully, yeah.
Now, how can we contact you? Just
Yeah,
finally.
if you reach out to me on any platform, we have TheraMarketing page on all the socials. You can visit theramarketing.co.uk. The email address is hello@theramarketing.co.uk. And I'd be happy to
Wonderful.
give a free audit to anyone that contacts and reaches out with actionable steps and no sales pitch. It's just
Great.
communicating value of how they can
Wonderful.
improve.
Well, that was Stephen McGill. Thank you very much, Stephen, for your time and tremendous, this powerful podcast. Thank you so much, and talk to you again very soon, hopefully.
Thank you. See you soon.
And that was Stephen McGill of theramarketing.co.uk. You have been listening to the Professional Hypnotherapist podcast, a production of the European Association of Professional Hypnotherapists. That's eaph.ie. Why not take a trip over to eaph.ie, and our member therapists are waiting to help you and to hear from you. Until next time, I have been your host, Aidan Noon. Bye bye for now.